Hi everyone, and welcome to a new episode of the RPG Framework tutorial series. In the previous tutorial, we started adding AI behavior to our enemy, but today we're shifting focus to implementing motion matching in our framework. The reason for jumping to this topic now is that I want to ensure our animations are set up with motion matching before we continue adding more behaviors to our characters. This topic will be covered over 2 videos. In this one, we'll migrate the motion matching system from the game animation sample project and adapt it to work with our framework. In the next video, we'll add combat animations to cover the combat state. Let's dive in and get started. First, create a new project from game animation sample. I will not do that right now because I have created it before. We will use this project to migrate all motion matching related assets to our RPG framework project. Once the project is created, open it and navigate to Blueprints folder. Right-click on CBP, Sandbox Character. Under the Asset Actions menu, click on Migrate. Here you can see all the assets that will be migrated. Click on OK button. Navigate to the Content folder of our RPG framework project and click Select Folder. Once the migration is done, you should see this content in RPG framework project. Go back to Game Animation Sample Project. There are one more asset to migrate. Open Retarget Character folder. From here we will need this ABP, Generic Retarget Animation Blueprint. However, this one is related to all the retarget characters in the project. Migrating it will result in migrating all the characters from Game Animation Sample. Since we don't need this characters, I will duplicate it and delete all the members from IK, Retargeter map. Now we will migrate this new animation blueprint. As you can see, only this blueprint will be moved to our project. Now we have everything we need in our RPG framework project. First, we need to enable some plugins. Open Plugins window and enable Pose Search, Animation Warping, Motion Warping and Chooser plugins. Now open Sandbox Character Blueprint. We will need to migrate some functions from here to our character base blueprint. Change the parent class of sandbox character and set it to BP, character base. To start pulling functionality to character base, first we will pull variables to parent class. Start with input variables. We need to pull only those of type Boolean. Then move all variables from movement group to parent class. At the end, move variables from traversal group. We leave some of the variables from input group and all variables from camera group for now. We don't need them to be part of our generic character, we will use them only in player blueprint. Now we can start with moving functions to character base. We will start with functions from movement group. To avoid breaking references, it is better to move one by one, in the same order as undoing it. Start with calculate max speed function. Then move, get desired gate. When you move this function, copy its content, go to player blueprint, override it, and paste. This is implementation we need for player. For generic character, remove this full movement input implementation. At the end, function in character base should look like this. You can also move this comment to player blueprint. You will need to create missing variables in player blueprint for this function to work. Copy default values from sandbox character. When you are done with player blueprint, Go back to Sandbox Character and continue with other functions. Update movement and update rotation. Before we continue with moving functions, go to Class Settings to check what interfaces are implemented by Sandbox Character. Here we can see that there is only one interface. This one is responsible for playing sound effects, so we will implement it in our character base. Copy the implementation for these two functions from Sandbox Character. Now go back to Sandbox Character and find these three events, on jumped, on landed, and perform traversal action. Copy all three events and paste them to Character Base Blueprint. For missing functions, just leave do nothing. Now go back to Sandbox Character and move Play Audio Event function to parent class. Finally, move all functions from Traversal Group to parent class. When you hit compile, you will receive this errors due to broken references. To fix them, you need to replace functions with the implementation from this blueprint or just by refreshing nodes. One more error that appears is this related to motion matching component. We need to add it to character base. Now open Sandbox Character Animation Blueprint. Go to Set References function. Here we need to change variable type of Sandbox Character to character base. Now go to Sandbox Character. Find Event Tick. We need to call this two functions for updating movement and rotation in our character base 2. Also, we need to copy Update Camera function to Player Blueprint and call it on Begin Play and Tick Event. Now we need to fix this references. Create new variables. Also make sure to replace camera and spring arm references with our follow camera and camera boom. Copy default values from Sandbox Character for all new variables. Now, when everything is in place, set UENF, Mannequin for Character Mesh in Player Blueprint. For Animation Blueprint, select Sandbox Character. Play it. As we can see, new animations are played now. However, we need to create new inputs in order to use full capabilities of motion matching sample. Go to Input folder. Select Jump, Strafe and Walk actions. Copy them to Actions folder in Inputs. Open Default Input Mapping Context and add this new input actions. Now copy the implementations from Sandbox Character to Player Blueprint. Be sure to use input actions from our Inputs folder, not those we have migrated from Game Animation Sample project. Now play it. Our player can jump, but it cannot toggle between walk and run. The problem is in the implementation of getDesiredGate function in player blueprint. For some reason when we copied it, all return nodes are set to walk. Change it like this. Now player can toggle between walk and run. You can notice that weapons are not attached to hands, but this is because new skeleton doesn't have sockets we expected. We will fix this in next video. Now let's test traversal behavior. Create some simple obstacle course using traversable level block. As you can see, all traversal behavior from game animation sample we have successfully migrated to our project. That's it for today's tutorial. We've successfully migrated and set up motion matching from the game animation sample project to work with our RPG framework. In the next video, we'll be adding combat animations and refining the combat state. Before we wrap up, I want to mention that I've just launched a new product in my Patreon shop, an roguelike, endless dungeon crawler template for Unreal Engine 5. This template comes with procedural dungeons, different enemy types, a boss fight, a character level up system, and special abilities, all built using the gameplay ability system. If you're interested in building a roguelike dungeon crawler, you can check it out on my Patreon, along with a demo video on my YouTube channel. If you found this tutorial helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.